What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in. So I'm not sure what day you guys are going to be watching this, but for me it is a Friday afternoon or early evening. Just wrapped up all my work for the week and it is time for the weekend. Now this weekend's a little different for me. I'm actually going on a bit of a road trip this weekend. Probably going to be covering around 900 to 1,000 miles this weekend. Nothing crazy, but a pretty good amount of driving. And right now I'm getting ready to go through the process of kind of going through my truck and getting it all ready to go for the road trip. For me, this involves a couple things. One, checking all the fluids on it, making sure those are all good and topped off at the right levels they should be. And then two, making sure I have all the supplies in my truck in case something were to go wrong. So as I was going through this process, I figured I might as well break out the camera and do a little bit of a video for you guys and make a video kind of showing what I go through and check and what I have in my truck. Some of these things that I keep in my truck, some of you guys may have, some of you guys may not have, but I figure this could be a video that actually helps some people that are maybe, I don't want to say less educated, but some people that may not have thought about some situations that could occur. So hopefully this video will give you guys some information that may not only save you a lot of time, it could save you a lot of money, and in worst case scenarios, it could save your life. So I'm going to be going through what I'm going to be checking on my truck. A few of these things do apply directly to my truck. For those of you that may not be aware, I drive a 7.3 liter Powerstroke, parked right out over there. That is my rig. That is what I drive every single day. So some of these things are specifically for the 7.3 liter Powerstroke, but some of them are things that can apply to anybody going on a long road trip. And so I would encourage you guys to stick around, pay attention, and maybe you'll learn something that could save you a lot of trouble down the road. For all my 7.3 followers out there, a lot of you guys have been asking me to do a towing test on the new turbo on the truck. So that will be taking place on this road trip. The first half of this trip is going to be unloaded. I'll be using that to do a bit of a MPG test to see how the new injectors, new turbo, and new tuning do. And the second half of the video will be loaded, probably with a 9 or 10,000 pound trailer behind the truck. Although it's not a crazy heavy load, that's going to give a pretty good idea of how my setup is actually running, how the EGTs do, so on and so forth. So that will be a video coming very soon after this video. For those of you guys who are interested, stay tuned for that. With that being said, time to get to work on the truck, checking the fluids. I think I'm going to start under the hood and then we'll go from there. Alright, so here under the hood of the truck, got to clean off these powder coated pipes. They're starting to get a little dirty already. We'll ignore that for now. That's not critical. So what we're going to start with is checking the oil on the truck. Now, I can't really do that one-handed, but we're going to be checking the oil, make sure that's topped off and where it needs to be. Check the transmission fluid, make sure that's where it needs to be, and then probably check the power steering fluid down there. So I'm going to set you guys up and get those things checked. Alrighty, so just finished up under the hood of the truck, about to go through all the different things I would recommend you guys bring along with you. But as far as under the hood of the truck goes, I'm pretty glad I checked that stuff. I was about 1 quart or 2 quarts low on oil. I'm actually going to go pick up about another quart and top it off a little bit more, and it should be good to go. And then I had a little bit of power steering fluid that I added to it. Probably would have been fine without it, but I just put it right back up into the upper half of the full range. I checked the transmission fluid. Transmission fluid looked good. It was at the right level, and the fluid itself was the right color, so that should be good. I checked the coolant levels. The coolant levels were good. So everything else should be good to go. Everything looked pretty good under the hood of the truck. I just have to go pick up a little bit more oil and top it off to the last little bit. And that's exactly why you check it. I'm glad I checked it, because if I hadn't have, I would have been driving for 1,000 miles this weekend with the truck on the lower side of oil, which wouldn't have been the end of the world, but especially when I have a trailer behind it and I'm working the engine a little bit harder, it's good to have it a good full supply of oil. So now in front of me, I have the whole layout of what I would recommend anybody going on a pretty long road trip to have with them. All this stuff in front of me doesn't apply to your daily driving stuff. Some of it will, but for the most part, what I'm talking about is if you're going a long ways away from home, you may be going to areas that don't have good service or service at all. You may be on your own if you break down. And so I think all this stuff laid out in front of me is good for you guys to know. I will start with the stuff that's kind of more general that applies to everybody, and then I will show the 7.3 related stuff that any 7.3 Powerstroke owners, they should have these with them on any long road trip. All right, so to get this started with, I'm going to start off with my toolkit. In general, I think anybody, no matter whether you drive a sedan, a pickup truck, an SUV, you should have a toolkit with you on all times. My toolkit is fairly extensive. You don't need something quite to this extent, but even just a medium-sized socket set could make the difference. Sorry about the wind if you guys can hear it. It is a little bit windy right now. The storm is blowing in, but like I was saying, you should get a toolkit. I guess we'll start with the tools on top. A pair of vice grips, a good pair of vice grips are invaluable in certain situations. These vice grips can make do for a lot of different tools, and I would highly recommend those. A good pair of channel lock pliers, very, very useful for a number of different reasons. Maybe you can't get a wrench to something, or you need to undo something or hold on to something. Whatever it may be, a good pair of channel locks and a good pair of vice grips are invaluable. Now, like I was saying, a good toolkit where you have all your wrenches, or a good selection of wrenches, the most common ones. And then, let's see if I can do it. Underneath this cover, have a good socket set. Now, like I said, you don't need something this extensive, but a decent socket set could completely save you in a pinch. With this socket set, I can do just about any repair that I would ever need to do on my truck with this alone. So a good socket set is my number one recommendation. Moving on from there, I would recommend having oil with you. It doesn't take a car losing that much oil for stuff to start to go wrong. I would highly recommend running oil or bringing oil with you. This is a 2.5 gallon jug, probably has about a gallon left in it. You don't need something this big for most cases, but these 7.3s hold about 4 gallons of oil, so I bring a little more with me. Now, if you have a catastrophic line failure or something where you're dumping oil, having a little bit of oil with you isn't going to make a difference. But if you have a slow, steady leak over the course of 1,000 miles, it could make all the difference in the world just being able to top it off. Even if it keeps leaking, being able to top it off and keep it in good running condition until you can get to somewhere that can actually fix it. So I would recommend having a little bit of oil, whether it be a couple quarts or a gallon. That's up to you depending on what you drive. Going with that, I have just generic coolant for the truck. It's already pre-mixed. I don't need distilled water with it. So that coolant kind of goes along hand in hand with these, an upper and lower radiator hose. These are one of those things that if you blow a radiator hose out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have help, or you don't have one of these with you, you are stranded. You're not driving your car more than a small number of miles before your engine overheats, your engine seizes up, and you're really stuck. So having about a gallon of coolant, even if it's not enough, it's a lot better than no coolant at all. And you can get back on the road and be able to get to somewhere and actually do a full fix if it's required. With that, I personally choose to keep a thermostat with this. It's kind of one of those things, if thermostat gets messed up or you have it out already, change it. It's easy to do. Radiator hoses, thermostat, coolant, that's not something I would recommend carrying around with you at all times. But if you're going long distance and you're going to be a ways away from help at any given point in time, this could keep you back on the road and moving to your destination. So I will be carrying those with me on my trip. Along with that, kind of working in the front of the engine, a spare serpentine belt. For those of you that don't know, a serpentine belt runs all the accessories on your engine, your power steering, your water pump, your alternator. Your engine's the heart of your vehicle, and this kind of runs everything else. So if you lose a belt, you're kind of screwed. So having a spare belt, you can just pull the torn up one off, put the new one on, you're good to go. It's not a hard thing to do. You just need a simple wrench to be able to get it on and off. That is something that doesn't take up much space and can save you a lot of time and money in the long run. So I would recommend a spare serpentine belt. So the last two kind of general things are fuses. I have a full kit of fuses, large and small. Fuses are kind of one of those things that one goes out, it may not affect you at all. One goes out and you could be completely dead in the water. Having a spare set of fuses, you don't need something a kit's this large. That's just what I have. It's easy to transport them in. So I'll throw these in the glove box as well and just keep me with them. Fuses rarely go out, and when they do, it's usually not something important. But if it does happen to be something important, having a spare fuse can keep you on the road. Last little thing for the general public is zip ties. You may laugh at it, but there are hundreds, if not thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that have been saved by zip ties. So having a pack of zip ties never hurts. With the zip ties, I'll throw in a nice roll of quality duct tape. This is Gorilla tape. Don't get the cheap Walmart brand stuff. Get either duct tape or Gorilla tape. This stuff can go a long ways. It may not be the perfect fix, but it could just get you by long enough to get to a place that can actually fix whatever problem you're having. So that's kind of the last little bit of things for the general driver. Now for my 7.3 audiences, I will show you the main things that I don't leave the house with on a daily basis. You're going to want these things in your truck. If not at all times, at least on a long road trip. Some of you guys may recognize these things already. The first thing here is your cam position sensor. As you can see, this is my old one. It still worked and ran when I pulled it out, but I kept it as a spare because if this goes out on your truck will not start, your truck will not drive. You are dead in the water. So keeping a spare cam position sensor in your glove box is critical. One 10mm bolt and the plug, and that could be the difference between being stuck on the side of the road needing a tow or driving to wherever you need to be going. It is not an uncommon thing for old cam position sensors to go out, so having one of those is very valuable. This is just my exhaust back pressure sensor. Doesn't matter, it's not critical, but I have it, so I just throw it in the glove box. You don't really need one of these. I just have it because I have a spare. Now this is your ICP sensor, your injection control pressure sensor that goes into your high pressure oil rails. Your truck can run without it, but it will not be running well. So if your ICP sensor goes out, it doesn't hurt to have a spare. It's easy to change out. Last but not least, for my 7.3 guys, I'm speaking from experience on this point. You will be very happy to have a whole O-ring kit for your high pressure oil pump. I can speak from experience on this one. It was probably 2 years ago at this point. I was driving through the middle of Wyoming, probably 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday. Everybody's basically either getting off work or off work for the weekend, and I blew one O-ring on my high pressure oil pump and was stranded on the side of the road. I dumped about a gallon of oil out of my truck before I could even get pulled over. That $5 O-ring that I blew, or $3 O-ring that I blew, ended up costing me close to $500 to get towed into the nearest town and get towed back to a place that I could fix it. So ever since that day, I have kept a spare O-ring kit in my truck for my high pressure oil pump. This is not an expensive thing. I don't remember exactly how much it was off the top of my head, but it's not expensive, and it could save you a ton of money in the long run if you just have the right O-ring you need. I'm not saying you need to be able to rebuild the whole pump on the side of the road, but if you need to have one seal, that's good, and to be replaced, having the kit is invaluable. I'm speaking from experience. So there you guys go. That is kind of the full lineup of what I choose to have in my truck on a long road trip. Well, I almost forgot the final piece and one of the most important tools that you can carry with you when you're going away from home. And there it is. That is one of the most valuable tools any American or any individual can carry with them at any given time. I'm not going to say what it is. YouTube doesn't like people talking about it. This is something I would recommend to anybody that is leaving their house. That's all I'll say about it. Like I said, last and one of the most important tools you can carry with you. Perfect timing. It is just starting to rain, so I'm going to clean this up and catch you guys back in the garage. Well, there you guys go. That's kind of my general list of what you should have with you on any given decent-sized road trip. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't expect anybody to carry all that stuff around all the time, every single time they go out. But if you are going any reasonable distance away from home or away from civilization or society, I think it is very, very valuable to have those certain things with you. A couple things I didn't mention or didn't show that I had on the tailgate, stuff I always have in my truck is 1, jumper cables. Everybody should have jumper cables with them. 2, a good knife inside your vehicle, whether it be on a multi-tool or a knife on its own. A good knife is invaluable. Another thing is a lighter. You never know when you're going to need to start a fire. Maybe you get stranded overnight somewhere. It's cold. Having a lighter can make a very, very big difference. And last but not least, a Carhartt. It doesn't have to be a Carhartt. I just choose Carhartt because I love them as a brand. But have a good jacket with you, especially now in the winter months. If you, for some reason, get broken down, stranded, you're stuck in your vehicle overnight, or God forbid, over multiple days. Having a jacket with you can be the difference between life and death. When you're dropping down below freezing levels at night, maybe your truck or vehicle is not running, you can't get heat from it. A jacket can save your life. So feel free to edit this list as you please, depending on what you drive, what time of year you're driving. I'm not saying this list is the full list. It really does depend on your situation and what's going on. If you're going somewhere you might get stuck, include stuff for that. People always talk about that, how good it is to be lucky. I try to live my life in the way that luck favors the prepared, and prepared people are often considered more lucky than unprepared people. So my recommendation to you guys is be prepared, and you might just get lucky. So there you guys go. There's the video for today. Like I said, I'm not sure when this is going up. I'm getting ready to leave on this road trip tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Like I said, there's going to be another video on that road trip itself for all you guys interested in the 7.3 content. I almost forgot to give you guys your little bit of the sneak peek for all you guys that made it this far in the video. So let me roll over there and grab the part and give you guys a little bit of a treat for making it this far in the video. Alright, are you guys ready? Some of you guys in the 7.3 community might be able to guess what this is. If you can try, leave it down below. I can either confirm or deny. There you go. That's it. So there you go. There's your sneak peek for all you guys for sticking around. I appreciate it. If you made it this far in the video. If you did make it this far in the video, I'm guessing you might have liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. If you have any guesses to what the new part is going on the truck, or if you have any recommendations for things to add to the list that I might have either forgotten to mention or I may not even think about, leave them down below. I'd appreciate your guys' input. Like I said, stay tuned for the towing video. I'm looking forward to seeing how the old girl performs. This will be the first time she's had a real load behind her for any long distance trip since all the upgrades, so I'm curious to see how she does. With that, I'm going to end out the video here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video.